So hello again, welcome to another optimization guide. Today we'll optimize Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which came to PC, so I played it and honestly I loved it. So I thought let's make an optimization guide, and I'm sure after watching this video your FPS will go from this to this. So let's get started. The first setting in our list is Super Resolution. Quality wise, on native preset all options were shimmering except DLAA and XeSS. However, on starting scene DLAA was shimmering a lot. I don't know why, but it was only shimmering here. And performance wise DLSS and off was giving same FPS, and going from DLSS to XeSS drops FPS by 3%, FSR 6% and TSR 10%. And because Ninja Gaiden is fast paced combat game, I also tested DLSS, XeSS and FSR in motion to see which one is best, and DLSS did great job, while FSR was over sharp and showing ghosting effects, and XeSS was also good but it was little bit blurry. So for super resolution, your first choice will be DLSS, second XeSS and third FSR. Do not use TSR because it was worst in terms of performance, and I also tested this sharpening option which does not cost anything, so you can set it whatever you want. And let's move to frame generation, which doubled my FPS but also introduced some ghosting effects and increased input latency. Although this game has Nvidia reflex, so latency will not be an issue, but frame gen also increased my VRAM usage by 200 MB. So if you are out of VRAM, then don't use frame gen. And I also found one interesting thing with frame gen. So if you use frame gen, then it will also double your FPS limiter. For example, my frame gen is enabled, and if I set my FPS limit to 120, the game will be capped at 240. It shows 120 here, but it is actually capped at 240. As you can see here, my FPS is not capped at 120, and if I set it to 60, then it will be capped at 120 and 30 will be 60. So with frame gen you can play this game above 120 FPS. Maybe it's a bug, but it's good. Then next is ray tracing, which affects global illumination and reflections, as you can see here. In some scene ray tracing makes the game beautiful, and in some worse, like in this one. It looks unrealistic because it's showing reflection on rough surfaces. And performance wise RTX drops FPS by 15%, but there is an advantage of using RTX. It was freeing my VRAM by around 200 MB. I don't know why, but as you can see RTX on was using 7290 MB of VRAM and off was using 7487 MB of VRAM. So it can be helpful if you have VRAM shortage, but you have to sacrifice FPS. Moving on to anisotropic filtering, which does not cost anything but improves texture quality a lot, so leave it on 16x. Then next is shadow quality, in which light shadows give sharp shadows, while standard, high and best smooths out the shadows. Quality wise standard and best looks almost same, and performance wise going from light to standard cost 3 FPS, while high and best was giving same FPS as light. That seemed odd to me, so I tested all settings in fast motion, and there I found real results. Light and standard shadows gave almost same FPS, while high and best was dropping FPS around 20%. The best option is standard. You can use light for little FPS boost, but in my opinion that's not worth it, so leave it on standard. Next is effects quality, and it was really hard to find difference of this setting, but GC found it, don't worry. So in my testing I found two things which affects quality control. First is raindrops. If you go from high to best, you will see this raindrop effect on the ground, and second, in light effect quality, dead bodies will fade out after some time, while in standard, high and best it will stay there forever. And performance wise going from light to standard cost 3%, and standard to best gave the same FPS. So if you want FPS, then light will definitely give you best FPS because it despawns the dead bodies, but standard is the best balanced option. Then next is global illumination, which is the most demanding settings out of all. It controls how light interacts with your world. As you can see, light option completely disables GI lightning, which looks so bad, and dark places becomes more darker, while going from standard to best improves the quality. And performance wise going from light to standard costs 24%, high 26% and best 35%. So light gives the best performance, but it looks so bad, and best and high looks the same to me. but high's performance was almost same as standard. So high is the best option, both quality and performance wise. But again, if you have Potato PC, then go with light. Then next we have reflection quality. On water I wasn't able to find any difference between best and standard, but light completely disables lumen reflections. While in this scene you can clearly see the difference between all the qualities. Best quality was giving perfect reflections, standard and high was giving low quality reflections, and light was completely disabling lumen reflections. And performance wise, standard and high cost 8% and best 19%. So for reflection quality, high is the best option, both performance and quality wise, but it looks unrealistic, while best was giving perfect reflections, and I also compared best quality with ray traced reflections, which looks amazing but at a cost of performance. So in conclusion, if you want best FPS, then go with light reflection, otherwise high. Next is foliage quality, which controls density of small plants and some background trees. As you can see here, performance wise standard costs 7% and high 9%. So standard is the best balance option, but if you want more FPS, then you can go with light. Then lastly we have this post-processing settings, which does not cost anything, so it's a personal preference, and here is the summary of all optimized settings. And that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then give a like, subscribe the channel, and I'm also live streaming this game on very hard difficulty on Twitch and YouTube. So if you are interested, then do check out that channel also, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.